Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today and taking step one in evaluating the health of your stock plan. I am Jessica Hurtado. I'm the Director of Client Relations at SOS, and our company creates peace of mind at every stage in our clients' equity administration, from private companies' cap tables to complex awards to administering and educating your company about their ESPP plans. Having been a former stock administrator myself, I know just how difficult the day-to-day grind, quarter and year-end reporting, and organizing these sometimes extremely outdated plans can be. And in my current role at SOS, I have the wonderful opportunity to chat with our clients and our team members every day about their daily stresses and get to implement best practices in their current plans. So today I am here to support our Director of Consulting and Staffing Services, Lexi Watson, as she breaks down the most common equity administration gaps and what they signal about your processes, how a proactive health check can reduce risk, improve efficiency, and create better alignment across HR, finance, legal, and your partners. And Lexi oversees a team of 40 stock administration consultants who serve SOS clients across the country. Lexi welcomes the opportunity to apply her varied background in operations and people management to unique challenges of managing a remote workforce in every changing equity compensation industry, as well as creating a tailored solution centered around best practices for our clients and partners alike. And Lexi and I are just absolutely thrilled to be here today to share with you why we think it is so important to take the time and the new year, new me energy to do a quick health check of your stock plan. So as we go through the presentation, please feel free to click on that Q&A button, which looks like a few of you found, and add your question that you may have. Stick around till the end, and we will also give you a QR code to our self-service health check toolkit. Lexi, take it away.
Perfect. Thank you, Jessica. And we'll get in today's presentation, a practical health check for the year ahead. And again, we'll answer all submitted questions at the end of the presentation. So what we typically see across stock plan teams is not a lack of effort. Everybody is so passionate in this industry and cares a whole lot about what they do. The most common thing is structural gaps that quietly create inefficiency over time. Manual processes and heavy spreadsheet use introduce risk and slow everything down, especially as volumes increase. When data isn't consistent across systems, teams end up reconciling instead of executing. Another big challenge is unclear ownership. When responsibilities span multiple teams without clear swim lanes, approvals stall, and accountability gets blurred. We also see documentation lag behind company growth. SOPs that worked 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe more, often don't reflect today's scale or compliance expectations. And finally, year-end cleanups become ongoing fire drills when the upstream processes aren't tight. The more cleanup required, the more risk and rework the team absorbs. There is never a bad time to perform a health check of your equity department. When clients come to us with a stretched team on the verge of burnout, no extra time to look into improvements, or going through a fast period of growth, first, we help relieve the workload, and then we are happy to jump in and identify areas of improvement. And Jess, I think you had a story, right, about a client that came to us and we were able to help them.
I do. Yeah, I have a quite fun story. We had a client come to us when their stock administrator of over 20 years was retiring. And the first time we met her, via Zoom, of course, in a remote world, I noticed a lot of papers, just piles and piles of paper behind her. And honestly, it gave me a little heart palpitation. But came to find out that all of their reconciliations were still done on paper. I like today's an age still on paper. So when we came in to support her, we were actually able to move all of their reconciliations over to Excel, updating their process, and really taking that time to pause and reflect and help both parties get them up to, standards today and find the gaps that were in their current day-to-day processes. And it really helped make that person feel confident about going into their retirement, knowing that they could hand off all of the work to our team. And then it helped our team to really start with the best foot forward. So really taking that moment to pause and say, what were the gaps in their system? And of course, get off that paper.
And that client story doesn't signal failure, right? That stock admin was still getting everything done. She was doing everything, but moving to a more proactive spot than a reactive spot will help you and your company prepare for scalability, compliance readiness, and help make the workload more manageable. Another time where we helped out was a client came to us with an extremely complicated merger, and everyone on that team was a rock star. They came up with really creative fixes and everything, but they were all in silos. And due to the differences in all of the company's types of equity, processes become muddied and decisions were continually held up. So first we helped them identify how to merge everything together, and then we dove into that decision-making process. So, what does a healthy stock plan department look like? A healthy stock plan department isn't defined by how busy the team is, it's defined by how predictable and safely it operates. Strong teams, again, are proactive rather than reactive. They rely on documented, repeatable processes instead of tribal knowledge. And they're aligned across all of the departments that we work with: HR, payroll, finance, legal, and external partners. Most importantly, they're audit ready year round and designed to scale as the company grows. This is what will allow the team to move faster with less stress and lower risk. If your team is always fighting fires, there's not clear approval lanes, and consistently needing to reconcile, this creates a high stress environment with lots of room for error. If you take the time to look into your stock plan operations, you can create confidence and predictability in your processes with fewer surprises down the road. Health is about resilience, not complexity. So, why do a health check now? Q1 is a unique moment in the year because it's where last year's outcomes, this year's obligations, and future risk all come together. Whenever a new year begins, I take the new year, new me energy and evaluate my habits inside and out of work. At work, I'll clean out my inbox. I'll look at recurring meetings to ensure they're valuable and efficient, and make sure I have a clear roadmap of my goals for the year. You're just coming off the off-peak risk activities, so issues are still fresh and visible. Compliance gaps tend to surface now before regulators or auditors see them. It's also one of the few times you still have influence over budget, staffing, and support decisions. Grant activity is about to ramp up, which means any inefficiencies will soon be magnified. And finally, Q1 sets the tone for how the function operates all year and gives you a clear baseline of metrics that you can actually rely on. But no matter what time of year it is, it's never too late to perform a health check. So what is the cost of waiting to evaluate your stock plan department? It's not abstract. It shows up as real dollars, real risk, real burnout, which all equal money, right? So small errors can become expensive corrections. Compliance risk shift from manageable to material. Budget and staffing flexibility disappear. And as grant activity increases, inefficiencies scale. Institutional knowledge erodes when processes aren't documented. Burnout becomes normalized as teams compensate with longer hours. And over time, the function loses the opportunity to operate strategically instead of proactively. Delay doesn't preserve the status quo, it makes everything harder to fix later. Okay, so when we evaluate stock plan department health, we focus on four key areas. First and foremost is people and ownership, creating clear swim lanes so approvals and responsibilities are unambiguous. Second is process, looking end to end to identify gaps, redundancies, and manual work that can be improved or standardized or automated. The third is data and systems. That's about confirming that grants, vesting, terminations, and transactions are accurate, reconciled, and consistent across platforms with no duplicates or discrepancies. Finally, governance and readiness. This includes documentation, SOX controls, tax withholding, 6039 reporting, Section 16 compliance, and overall audit preparedness. The goal isn't perfection, it's clarity, control, and confidence going into the year and beyond.
Yeah, Lexi, I know when you and I were creating SOS's health check toolkit that we'll share with everyone later, these really were our four pillars. And, we worked from our experiences as well as the team's best practices on what we would want out of efficient administration and what we look for when we're onboarding a new client, right? And I know my favorite on the screen is always process. I love a process document. I love to have the clarity around who owns what are the different steps in the process. And my team likes that as well because then we can take true time off. We can hand off processes completely by saying, hey, I'm going to take this week off. Guess what? It's not scary. You just follow my step by step process and you'll get there. Definitely my favorite on the screen.
Redundancy is so important, right? And having that, it creates different points, allows people to take time off. There's also checks that you can create with that. So it's super important. Mine is usually the data and automation piece. The more that we can hand off and, reduce the time spent actually working on it, the more we get freed up to work on higher level projects, and really work that project mindset and take a look at different things that we can work on.
Yeah, definitely the work smarter, not harder, right? We got enough to worry about in our day to day. So the more we can have automated, the better. And it's fantastic. Yeah, these are
Absolutely.
definitely represented in our toolkit.
Yeah, and these are also, I don't think you do a health check once and then you're done,
Mhm.
right? This is something where you want to look into these four pillars once a year, maybe once a
Mhm.
quarter, depending on how quickly your company is growing or how big your department is growing. It definitely makes sense to just at least do a gut check once a
Mhm.
year.
Yeah. Well, I think we're heading into the Q&A section.
Yeah.
So please, if you do have a question, at the bottom, there is a Q&A button, and you can type in your question there for us to answer. I do have a few questions in here for you, Lexi, so I'll get us started. So we have a question in the audience. Where do you start with a health check? What's your first step?
Let's see here. So where I would start with the health check is just start small. Identify, one of those four pillars that needs the most attention and do a deep dive into all of the processes that go into that pillar. Everything has layers. So taking apart all of those layers, making sure you have documentation around it, they're the most efficient. You have automation set up where you're utilizing the most out of your platform and, different tools that you use. So that's where I would begin. Just start small, bit by bit.
Yeah, I love that. It's that quote about the elephant, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's all you can
Well,
do.
yep. I know I always tell my team that, you get up the mountain the same way as anybody else. It's one foot in front of the other.
I love that one. Oh, this is a good question. Is a health check more about compliance or efficiency? That's a
Um, I don't know. It's both, but
yeah.
efficiency, I think, often will drive compliance.
Mhm.
Streamlined, well-documented processes reduce risk, improve accuracy, and free up the team to focus on the higher value work, like I was talking about earlier. Employee education and scalability, all of those things feed into it.
Employee education is my new like top tier thing that I love to talk about. I mean, it's become this such big topic for us to chat about with our clients, right? Everyone's talking about financial wellness and how do you promote that? And it's education. You got to talk about it. You got to talk about their plans. They don't know what they have if we're not talking about it. So I love that. Let's see what else we got. Um, oh, can small or early stage companies benefit from a health check?
Um, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Early stage companies often benefit the most, I think.
Mm,
Because you can build that strong foundation and then build up from there. It can unwind like lots of technical debt. And a lighter touch health check could be really good for smaller companies, and then it'll set teams up for that long-term success down the road.
I love that. Yeah. Get started in the beginning, right? Get it all cleaned up right away so then you don't have to worry about the downstream effects. Okay. Why should I perform a health check in Q1 with all of our other existing priorities? This is a great one because Q1 historically in our industry is just slam packed. There's a lot to do. So I understand being concerned that you have other priorities. Why take the time now? So, Lexi, do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's just you have the most visibility over what needs the most attention, right? You're just ending the year, you've just run a whole bunch of reports, you're getting ready to, submit different things. Um, Budgets are still flexible, and it doesn't need to be something that disrupts your current process.
Like that. Yeah. And it is that reflection time, right? You're like, I know what the problems are right now. It's fresh in your mind. So definitely, if you click on our QR, if you scan our QR code, it'll take you to SOS's health check that Lexi and I did create with our team. And it does just give you that space to jot down what are the problems, identify the problems while you're doing them, while they're fresh of mind, and then you can kind of take that into Q2 to say, okay, how am I going to remedy that? What are my checklists of to-dos? Okay, we got another question. How would a health check help a pre-IPO company that plans to go public in 6 to 12 months?
I think that's really similar to, those smaller or early stage companies, right? It'll help lay that foundation so they're ready for all of the new reporting requirements they're going to have. Make sure they have all of that historical data. They're operating as efficiently as possible. They have clear processes documented. So after they go public and they get ready for all of this growth, they have a clear road ahead where they can, plan for all of that.
I love that. Okay, any other questions? I don't see anything populated right now. Let me see. Well, we flew through that. I know we have our emails up here as well if anyone on wants to connect with us individually. Again, Lexi, your department is the consulting and staffing. So definitely with this health check, we can do the brief toolkit and then we can help you dive into it deeper and look at, help you create the processes, help you make the changes and get to a healthier stock plan.
Yep. That's my favorite thing to do is create, tailored solutions for our clients depending on what they need and what their department looks like, what their participants or employees need from, their equity department, and making sure that everything is aligned and working together.
I love it. And then feel free to reach out to me. Again, I'm the Director of Client Relations, Jessica Hurtado. I work with our clients every day to make sure that they are healthy and they're looking at all of their processes. One more, can you provide a link for the health check versus the QR code? Yes,
Yes,
100%. I
absolutely.
will put that in the chat right now. Wonderful. Let me grab that for you.
And we'll put it in the chat and then we'll also send out an email afterwards and include a link to it there as well.
Oh, shoot. Okay, well, it did not want me to do the answer. So 1 second. We'll make sure that it gets to you, Jessica. Thank you for asking that. But thank you all for joining us. Lexi, I don't know if you have any last wishes.
Nope, that was pretty much it. I'm so thankful that again that you guys all took the time to join us. Again, we know Q1 is super busy. We wanted to have a very short, to the point, brief health check so we can all start off 2026 aligned and with focus on where we would like to go. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. My contact info is provided here, and again, it will be sent out again after the webinar.
Thank you all. Have a great day, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you, everybody.